you feel if like you finish having sex with your partner, then she then uses a toy to come?
You're gonna feel like a dickhead.
You're
gonna feel like
so interesting.
You're gonna feel like a dickhead.
If I was with a girl and like I'd come and then she was like, oh, I'm just gonna use a toy, I would be like, that's so exciting. I would be like, that's so like fun and interesting and new. Like,
Mikez is killing me.
Mikez, you're coming.
Thank you for introducing us to
I told you,
nice friends.
Yeah,
thank you.
It's not just you like
Lewis is a gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, no, I think the reason why men would feel a certain way is because obviously, like, again, the connotations behind of like them having to pleasure their woman and whatnot, and this in the heterosexual sense. Anyway,
you know the worst thing a woman can do is make a man not feel like a man.
but what does that even mean?
Yeah, that's
like, what do you mean? Like,
I get where back is coming. You're gonna be like, I didn't do my job. Because as a man, you're gonna think, so I didn't do my job properly.
After we finish sex, I want to go sleep.
Yeah, like
you get it. She has to go sleep.
Like, I'm tired.
knocking my ego and that.
But if you're tired and she still wants to come, then what's the problem? I don't understand.
You're still gonna feel like you haven't done your job.
Still gonna feel like I haven't done my job.
I mean, like it might be a bit weird if like you go to sleep and she's using a toy. But if you're involved still, like it's still.
Nah, but he's talking about not being involved at all.
And she then went to the toilet and just.
Okay.
Well,
then that probably is a communication thing.
Yeah, because I think even couples have. I've seen the survey was like some couples have had sex and then one's like, oh, I'm done now, and one's gone on like pornography and then finish themselves off.
Yeah.
It's just like, but I think that it's a spiral because it's like once you start doing that, I think it's kind of like pornography. Like once you have these expectations of certain things and like you start doing those things a lot of the times, when it comes to actual real life sex, your what's the word? Your realism, and it's like I'm like, oh, I'm not as excited because there's a correlation between men like hyper masturbating, watching porn, like being addicted to pornography, and then when they actually have sex, they haven't, like pre-ejaculation or erectile dysfunction.
That's why it's not good
to watch porn. Or like the actual enthusiasm of even having sex is not the same. Or if it's not how they pictured it because of they've been watching so much content, they're like, do you know what I mean? And I think I don't know if it relates in the same way as when it comes to women using toys, because it could be, oh my gosh, this vibrator 3000 is amazing. It does the job more than I've ever done in my entire life.
You know what you said, that is a
and
very
it's like,
good point.
whoa, I've done it. And then it's like, now you have sex all the time, and it's like, I can never get, because it's same with drugs.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Because it's like when we eject, I can't remember the actual chemical that releases in our brain.
You're chasing a high.
But it's kind of similar. When they say heroin, they say there's no, I've never had it, but there's no high like it. Do you know what I mean? So once you touch those extremes and in your chemical brain, can we ever get back to that in a normal sense? And is these industries actually destroying natural intimacy and natural chemistry?
I mean, I don't want to talk about.
That's like Rob. That's like spit bars.
And that's my point when I mean like sex is
true. I mean, like in terms of pornography addiction, like I don't know enough about addiction to like speak to that.
I do think you can be addicted to it.
Yeah, that's absolutely the thing. But I
can be addicted to literally anything.
For example, you see what you said. That's very interesting because obviously when I was young, I used to watch porn, and now weirdly, like I've got like a thing about seeing a girl on a phone. Listen. Like, and now, if I don't see a girl on a phone, it's like in my subconscious, like I just don't get like attraction. Like it's weird.
So no granny panties is not working.
No, it can't work for me. Okay. You get it? So it's interesting what you're saying.
I think I'll be honest, because I think a lot of men can say, sorry to cut you, but like when they were growing up, they watched porn a lot, and I even remember, and I was like, there's a time when I'm like, why am I watching this so much? Like, in comparison, then when you started having sex, obviously it would deplete, but like, there's this thing of this expectation of what it should be like, and a lot of men's first experience of their education has come from the dark web. Like,
I don't think that's just men. I mean, like, on average, I think it's 11 now is like the average age that a kid's gonna see porn. What? So that might be wrong, but it's like a crazy young age.
We're saying what? We're saying what? Yeah. But
yeah.
We actually saw
brick phones as well. So
we actually saw
we're finding a way.
My man was on my Windows XP like.
If I had a creak on the stairs.
Pretend I'm playing the pinball game.
Your dad's private stuff.
Hey, PSP. Oh,
PSP. Oh, hey, what?
Anyway, but as you can see, sorry. As you can see, how, you know what I mean? Sorry, Cody.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what you were saying and what I was trying to pick up on. I think it is just a thing of like, people get into rhythms with sex. I think in my experience anyway, and you kind of, especially if you have a partner who you have sex with a lot, you kind of are like, this is what we know works, and so we'll just do this. But actually you then get stuck in that way, and then it can be quite hard to break it or to introduce new things. So like, it's quite good to just consistently have like check-ins with sexual partners and just being like, hey, like anything you want to try new, or like, I've been thinking about this thing, or I've been thinking about you in this sort of situation, and like, are you open to that, and like that sort of stuff. And with porn, it's like, I think porn is such a complicated, broad topic that like you could do a whole hour about like on itself. But I mean, there is definitely a thing of like people thinking that sex in porn is the same as sex in real life, and that can be a tricky thing to break if that's your like mindset going in. It's the same thing as like
entertainment, isn't it?
Yeah, entertainment, and like we get all these messages growing up from all kinds of media and entertainment, right? Like I still struggle with like when I date men, like understanding that they like have feelings and emotions, and sometimes are seeking like long-term partners or are seeking like romantic love, because I watched a lot of American sitcoms growing up, and it was always like, oh, men don't have feelings, they just like fuck you and leave.
We're probably more emotional than you lot.
I I think it varies from person to person, like, and it also depends on what you're...
Montz is emotional still.
What you want in life.
I just need love.
So yeah, I find it interesting though, like your aversion to toys. I find really interesting.
Yeah, like every partner I come with, and like, if I find out they've got toys, they have to throw it away. That's just my thing.
Wow.
They throw it away as well.
Max,
but like,
bro.
But what's wrong
with this guy, bro?
Like, to me, it's just like you're basically cheating. I don't care.
So wait, hold on.
God.
It's another.
Hey, this is round 4. This is round 4. Round 4 right now.
So hold on. Let me join you out. So, Michael, I don't even say full name. Michael B. Yeah. Have you ever been with a partner and you've watched pornography?
What, together?
Not together, by yourself.
No.
Have you watched it together?
Never.
Don't let me say surname. Michael. Have you ever watched pornography whilst you were with someone? So have you ever masturbated whilst you had an actual sexual partner?
Oh yeah, but she wasn't around at the time.
So what's the difference? What's the difference?
Using my hand.
She's using her hand and silicone.
She's using a toy.
Michael, it's plastic, bro.
She's using her hand. Cool.
So how did she get the toy?
Huh?
How did she get the toy?
She went to buy it.
And how did she get the toy? If it's in a drawer, what did she use?
Her hand.
You're too technical.
She used her hand.
Yeah, I get your point, but
bro, come on,
Michael. Can the toy get up out of the drawer, go to the shop, buy milk, and come back?
Look at this, yeah. Look at it as your team player, not your competition. If you look at it as your team player, bro, I'm telling you,
it's kind. You might have a point, because
look at your team
if it's not there, she might be going out. She might go out there and do something.
Look at it, innit?
Bro, I don't know what is going on with Max.
Very interesting.
Hey, Max, can I stop you? Max has said that is very interesting for each round. Max is losing right now, you know. Max is losing hard.
I'm not losing. I'm getting educated.
I respect it.
No, you're getting educated, but we're just beating you up right now, boy.
Because what's really interesting is that we talk a lot, but we never actually go in this
You know,
depth.
it's so true. You know, we actually don't really talk about sex.
Yeah.
Like,
We do, but we don't.
We
just
don't
go-
like,
we
for
go,
example,
boom, boom,
like,
boom.
do you think, oh yeah, cool, that's about
Boom,
it.
boom,
Yeah.
boom. We just say surface levels, but this is probably. I'll be honest. It's probably one of the first conversations we've really dug deep in the sense of how our sexual understanding is as a group. But yeah, I say look at it as a team player because there's times when you might be off form, so you can cool. And you know what I'm saying? And then it's doing half the job, and then everyone's satisfied. And you're like, okay, I got work tomorrow. It's fine. I can sit and do you get it? Like,
No, I didn't think
like,
that,
but I
so.
get what I understand why sometimes men, especially heterosexual men, have had these connotations because it's like, oh, I'm supposed to do the job. I'm supposed to do it. But I'm like, you're human. You can't be 100% every day. And sometimes, like you said, there's many women out there that cannot, have an orgasm through penetrative sex. So you're gonna have to find different ways. Do you know what I mean? And in each of their own, innit? So yeah, man, it's a team player.
Also, it's like sex. Like at the end of the day, sex should be about pleasure. And like, if you can introduce something else into your sex life that is gonna be pleasurable for your partner and also possibly for you, because like I definitely have had sexual partners who have like get great pleasure out of using toys on other people. So like, I think you're limiting yourself and like the pleasure that you can experience with a partner by like cutting toys out completely.
Mandem. Yeah, man, you're right.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm just saying like
I wouldn't want a toy to be used on me though.
That's fine.
So I wouldn't get no pleasure
same.
from it.
But no. I mean, like you using one on someone else.
Okay.
But also, if you know that you don't think you would enjoy toys, that's totally fucking fine. Do you know what I mean? And like,
Why for that?
But if you have a sexual partner who's like, I love toys and I'm really into them, then it's at least a conversation that you have to have. And saying to someone that you're with, I feel uncomfortable with you masturbating using a toy when I'm not around. You might want to check it a bit, just in terms of like, it has the potential to be a bit controlling, and like maybe thinking about where that insecurity comes in from in you, because it sounds like an insecurity more than anything else. Yeah.
I like Nora's punched you up 4 rounds, bro.
That one there.
Listen, we're doing
Haymaker.
Listen,
Still.
I'm knocking you
That's
out.
that Mike Tyson first round.
I've got another question, just slightly not off topic, but you mentioned that you come from like a Catholic background,
Yeah.
and actually we come from Christianity as well. So like, sex and religion, I think that is like. Listen, I'm looking to. I don't mind doing this episode for a very long time. I like.
This is very
Listen, we can split it anyway. Yeah, like sex and religion. I think they go hand in hand, but they have major contradictions. They make people doubt themselves. They make people go against what they're truly feeling and whatnot. And I'm just like, it's frustrating because even a similar like thing of like the term like virginity. I saw this post someone put up the other day. It was like the term virginity. The fact that like you take virginity when, for example, like a woman, for example, like a hymen can be broken in many different ways.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then someone was saying, why don't we, instead of saying taking virginity, why don't we say like sexual debut?
I saw that as well. Yeah. I really like
I like that.
Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think when I saw
What's
that,
your sexual debut?
mind your business, man. Like,
When was yours?
Sexual debut.
Probably like year 11.
So, yeah. So,
Everyone does like, we're moving on.
listen, we don't want to condone underage sex, okay?
No, you're 16 year 11.
And it was like 2000.
Madam, move on. Madam,
babies. Anyway,
move on.
right, cool. Yeah, so like as I was saying, like yeah, like sexual debut. Just also because I feel like the connotation behind women as well, like oh, she's pure. All these kind of
Popping a
things.
cherry,
She's
taking
popping
a flower, yeah.
Oh, and it's like, especially if it's like older men, like oh, I can manipulate her to do what I want and all these things. It's just like, why should we think like that? You shouldn't think like that. But I think like it shows ties between religion and how that concept is. And you know, if you like, once you've had sex, you're sinful, and you know, there's this terminology of like
Shame.
Garden of Eden. They were like naked, and as soon as they started committing sin, they were embarrassed their body, so they covered up, and all those kind of terminologies. So yeah, I just want to hear your thoughts about the two big I would say powerhouses in the world. I think sex is a massive control and how people manipulate and move in this world, and religion also ties in a lot of people's faiths and beliefs and how they conduct their life. So yeah, what do you think? What's your thoughts behind the two and how they like correspond or differ?
Oh, I mean, religion's too broad in the sense that like I grew up Catholic and that's really the only context I have, so I can't talk about like any other religion because I don't know anything about them really in that like way. I think there is a lot. I mean, we talked about this before. I like. It's also weird because I'm like, oh no, I really hope my mum doesn't see this.
Shout out mumsy.
Of like, I disagree with the Catholic Church as an infrastructure, like fundamentally, because of the things that it perpetuates. And I stopped being religious because of being queer and also having a lot of queer people in my life and seeing how openly rejected the...
What's a queer?
Queer is like LGBTQ+, so lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or anyone who falls under like that.
So I think what you're
community.
saying, what does the actual term queer mean?
So the term queer is like it's an umbrella term, so people define it in different ways for themselves. It's also like a reclamation sort of situation. So if you meet older people who are in the LGBTQ+ community, a lot of the time they don't love the term queer because it's considered a slur if they're older.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Because in a lot of TV shows, I used to hear like as a slur, you queer.
Like, American Pies and that. I used to hear it, but I never.
So like I would say for people our age, it's like very much considered like a reclamation term, and just feeling really rejected by the people around me in church. And feeling like who I was inherently, and also like the majority of my peer group from school are also queer, and so feeling like they weren't accepted because at that time I hadn't come to terms with like who I was, but I had enough people in my life who had, that I was like this isn't right, and I can't sustainably. I can't continue to love these people who are my closest friends and follow a tradition of some like book and person that existed and has existed for thousands of years, because there's like so much about it that's outdated. But it is complicated because I have a lot of religious people in my life who I also love dearly. And sex is always a kind of weird conversation to bring up with them. So I guess, like, do you guys find that... Are you guys Christian as well? Yeah. So do you find it, like, it affects your sex life, I guess?
Not really.
Or do you find, like, guilt comes up or anything like that?
When I was young, I can't be. Now I'm older, I can't understand certain things, so I'm a bit more conscious of it. But it sounds bad, but it don't really affect me. Like, it don't. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's just obviously you're growing up, no sex before marriage, them type of things. But it don't really affect me. To be honest. What about you?
I remember in school, like I remember me and T-Man would be like, oh no, I like girls, like, yeah, but 6 before marriage though. Man.
Yeah, when he was younger.
Like, we literally would get to the age of 13, 14 and be like, why do I find her attractive? But I shouldn't. I don't like, and then just like, you got to a point
sinning.
Where sinning. I'm like, and then we used to literally be like, we're going to sin,
We're going to sin.
We're going to sin. Yeah, and we're like clarifying we're going to sin. And it sounds really bad when you say it out loud. You're like, bro, like, you're announcing you're going to sin. But because of this greater feeling, this greater temptation, you want to do something. And like it's weird because like when you have actual sex, you don't feel this guilt feeling that if you, let's say, watched pornography.
That's very true. Like,
because even watching porn is a sin.
I used to feel bad about watching porn.
what to do.
Afterwards.
I think that
Do
is like,
you feel bad because of religion?
I don't know why.
no,
Yeah.
I don't think it's
Okay.
really. I think it's a universe. I'm assuming anyway.
Why did I do that?
I just feel like I used to
Everyone asks,
Why the fuck did I do that?
Producer's like, yeah. No, but it's true. Like, I think
I pay for my porn, so I feel fine about watching it.
You put?
What?
Yeah, that's probably why.
How do you pay for porn?
like go HD.
What? Pornhub Premium or what's going on?
Don't bet up my girl's thing. Get me.
you can pay for porn.
She said HD. You know, she said
porn is free.
for real. 4K.
I'm aware of that. So there's like various different
No, my mind
websites that like make quote unquote.
So let's say so like for example OnlyFans. Do you?
I don't use OnlyFans, so I'm trying to think of the name. I can't think of the names of any of the websites, but I can send you. But there's like a few pornography services that like make what they would market as like feminist porn. So it tends to be a lot more like women centered, which is useful in the sense that like it's quite it like porn is made for cis men, like that's just the way it is, and it just kind of, I don't know, I feel a lot more comfortable making sure that like people are paid ethically than watching them
for free.
because I have friends who are sex workers and it's fucking hard out there. Do you know what I mean?
I've been
Like,
around, yeah.
Yeah.
Been around my friend. I don't want to be able to think about, yeah, my friends, yeah.
Have a business that is not doing as well in the current climate.
But I can't, like, during COVID, a lot of sex workers, it was hard for them.
Yeah, because they didn't receive any support from the government, and
No, they never do.
they're like, it's a really complicated.
But again,
thing
like,
to
do you think
navigate.
like they don't receive? Like, again, like this is a like, Protestant country, so it's like there are employees, they have a work, but it's like if they go to the government, a lot of the things in the government are extremely outdated. So it's like, oh no, but I guarantee you those people who are sex workers can say stories. Excuse me, sir, you was in my office. You was there. You was there. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
and those are the type of people that actually do.
yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, why?
I'm gonna say
why
that
do
to draw
we
myself
feel
out on this
bad for
podcast.
Sex? Like,
Government will
it's
kill
a
me.
genuine question. Like, going back to like the pornography, like why? Like you were saying, like, why did I just do this? But 10 seconds ago, it felt like the most amazing feeling ever. But then 10 seconds after, you're like,
Post nut clarity.
there you go. No, that's what they call it. It's true.
What's supposed to?
No, what's it?
Yeah, that's what
My
it is,
housemate
bro.
talks about that all the time.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Sure thing.
Bro, it's literally a thing. Like, what the fuck did I literally just? Like, there was no need for me to do
Like,
that.
I do feel like that sometimes when I have sex with a girl that I was not meant to. I do feel like that sometimes. So.
Anyway, your
that
thing's
something different?
your thing's a bit different.
Yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying? Cool, innit? But like, yeah.
Oh my.
I love that you guys are having a whole nother conversation. So you're like, we're not going to talk about this, but we're talking about this.
But like, yeah, like it's just really like, why do you feel like that? And why is it too extreme? Or is it just because this chemical has, I don't know what the chemical is in our brain, has like reached its peak and it's just going down. And as it's going down, but like, we're lower than how before we started. Is it that?
Could be.
But I feel like that don't happen when you have actual sex. Like I don't feel I feel tired, maybe so, because you was shooting in the gym, but like I don't feel. Why did I do that?
Like, what do you guys do after sex? Don't you think after sex is so awkward?
Not for me, bro. I don't know who you're having sex with.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It depends on who you're having sex with, Michael. This is what I'm saying. You, Michael, you need to just like figure out what's going on.
No, but they got I
want to get off the
You see, I just leave the room for like 2 minutes. I can't laugh.
So you be like,
What's wrong with you?
That's so awkward. I'm thinking like, what? I just feel I'm going to toilet or something.
What you don't ask her if she wants no juice? Nothing like.
it's just.
That's what I normally do. I'm like, do you want a juice? Because afterwards I'm thinking, alright, cool, let me leave her to sort herself
No, but she
out.
might want to hug you and cuddle and that.
Yeah, we do that after. Isn't it?
But I need it because when it's up to you if you want to disclose this. But when you've had sex with a man,
It's hot as well,
do you ever
man.
feel
It's
like, do you want to cuddle? Like, is it a natural urge of like, let's have non-intimate relationship, let's have cuddles and whatnot? Because
I would say cuddling is very intimate.
okay,
Yeah,
so
we cuddle, I definitely cuddle, but it's just,
but there's certain men that like,
It depends. Like, let's say,
you know what I mean?
let's say, like we've gone out and like we've drunk, then we have sex. I'm not getting up. I'm staying where I am.
Yeah, because you're intoxicated, tired. Yeah.
But like, if it's like during the day, we've had a quickie. I'm gonna come out, go toilet, sort myself out.
But I think it's very interesting because I think the reason why I think we're different right now is because our sexual experiences have been different. And I think
that's so true because
that plays a part in how we view sex and how we look at it.
You see, out of everyone, I'm the friend that's a bit like, I've been exposed to a lot of stuff I've seen. So when I used to tell these guys certain things, they used to be like, nah, like raw, like. But if I told you things up, you'd be like, oh yeah, like, I'm trying to say. So
yeah,
it's interesting you said that. So.
How do you know? How do you know?
This is your man.
How do you know? She'll be like, oh yeah.
It's the way he says something. I'm like,
yeah, that's what it is. It's your tone, man.
This is why I brought Nora to fire shots at you.
I'm not firing shots though.
You're not.
I find it interesting.
You're educating,
but also like you're educating me. Like it's a two-way street.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like
absolutely.
It's interesting because I exist in like a very like a bubble of like the kinds of conversations. So even like earlier when you were like, "What's queer?" and I was like, I've never had to explain that term to anyone before, and that's like really like I was like, oh yeah, because that's like such a big part of my life, but it isn't for everyone. So like it's a two-way thing. Also, I enjoyed that like you say things as statements because I also do that. I'll be like, "This is the way it is," and everyone's like, "Is it though?"